Have you ever asked yourself the question, how do I find a godly wife? What are the specific things you should be looking for in a woman? Maybe even ask the follow-up question, how do I pursue her and not fumble the bag once you get the girl? Well, in today's episode, we're going to be covering just that and so much more. Like how the NBA has dropped almost 50% of its viewership and going woke could be to blame. And what are the giant flying drones flying over our head in New Jersey and Florida? My name is Michael, this is my dad Antonio, and my brother Elijah, and with this podcast we strive to bring you relevant conversation, tools, and discussion on everything you as a man might come across in today's society and bring a biblical viewpoint to it. Let's get into the episode. We're back.
All right, so we're back. So good to be back. And
Back in biz.
yes, it's Christmas time. That's why Elijah's wearing the hat.
Merry
So
Christmas.
we are excited about this season. I mean, I get excited about this season. A couple reasons for me. Number one, I like family around a lot and Christmas presents. I like giving the presents more than getting them. That's for me.
Yeah.
But also, I do a lot of reflection on the year. So for me, I think about what's been going on, and then I make plans for 2025. I mean, we took a training on, well, we all did, on a workshop on preparing for 2025 for our businesses. So I get excited about that too. So that's why I'm excited.
Yeah. And I get excited because it means the annual Chiefs Super Bowl run.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
almost here.
That's on Christmas Day. That's right.
No. They're just ramping up
Yeah.
for their next ring.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx it, but they looked pretty good on.
It's pretty much as consistent as Christmas.
It's an annual thing. I'm just planning for the annual parade.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we can get into it though. We can transition a little bit into the no fluff news. So in the first topic, I got some a little wild for you guys. Drones. Drones are flying all over us, not necessarily where we are. In the Midwest, no one cares about the Midwest. But on the East Coast, there's drones being spotted over New Jersey, Florida, a little bit in Texas. A little bit of context. Flying drones have been spotted over residential neighborhoods, restricted sites, and critical infrastructure, and they are the size of SUVs, so they're pretty large. The Biden administration has not identified anything. They pretty much just gave a pretty vague answer of what it was. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think the drones are? Is it a threat to our country? And what do you think it is? Dad, I'll start with you.
So I have a couple of thoughts on this. The first thought is last year, well, it was actually 2023, the 28th of January, if I remember right, and to February 4th, there was a high altitude balloon that flew across the U.S. in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And it was from China. It started in China and it went all the way to the U.S. and they didn't stop it until February 4th. So from 28th of January to February 4th, this thing flew across the country
So
freely.
essentially like a week.
A week.
Yeah.
With
Wow.
no problem. And then they shot it down in North Carolina, but it made it all the way across the U.S. And that bothered me then, and this bothers me now.
Yeah.
Because they're having, in fact, today, the Pentagon is meeting in secret about the drones, but they're saying it's no big deal. It could be a hobby, a bunch of hobbyists and
SUV-sized drones.
a whole bunch of them. And why at night only? And, where did they come from? Somewhere in the ocean. But we don't know where they're coming from, what they're
Right.
doing. That bothers me a lot. So
Yeah.
it just brings a lot of suspicion to me. And they're telling us, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
No, they're like flying around over like neighborhoods and stuff in the night.
So residential areas.
Yeah, like people are seeing them all over New Jersey.
Like by their house.
yeah, like
even-
within 500
What
feet.
are they like cameras on them or what are they doing?
Well, it's hard to tell in the night, but because it's dark.
And they're even telling residents, don't try to shoot it down.
Actually, there was a story I heard. A guy who literally is a drone pilot, that's his job. He was going to go up and see what the drones were, but he had to get clearance to go up past a certain height. And he's a licensed drone pilot. And he was waiting for clearance so he could go up, and he did not get clearance.
Wow.
He got denied clearance.
But all these guys are flying at night with no problem.
Yeah, but we don't know who the guys are.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hobbyists though.
Hobby.
That's my problem.
Honestly, I think I've heard a few different perspectives of what it is, but like you said with the China thing, it flew around for 6 days, but eventually it was shot down. This drone thing, it actually started like, wasn't it?
It's been 2 weeks.
I thought it was the middle of November.
No, no,
Was
not
the
that-
first,
maybe, but I think it's been going on for at least a week or two.
at least a couple weeks. But that makes me think that it's actually not another country.
That's what I think too.
Because if it was longer than a week, like you saw with the China thing, like if the military thought it was a real threat, the thing's getting shot down. Like they're not going to let multiple drones
I know.
fly around in the night for,
And this is in multiple places in the country? This isn't
Yeah.
just like
yeah,
It's in the East Coast.
it's mostly East Coast.
just East Coast.
Mostly,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's where the most sightings have been seen. But I think it's actually because during the election season, there was all the immigrants coming in. And there was a report of like over 10,000 criminals came in during the election season. And I think it could be possibly they're looking for potential bombs, potential threats, and they're trying to do it in the night because in the daytime, you can see everything. But in the nighttime, they have special sensors or something that could see radioactive material, bomb material in the night. And it's like that sounded like a realistic one to me. I'm not an expert on the topic, but
well,
it is
it does
interesting.
bother me, and I'd rather the government knows.
They definitely
No, and they're not telling everyone. and
100%.
That's what bothers me. So I just don't want what happened last year to happen again. And you might as well just tell everyone, and we're all good.
No, and I've heard tons of stories of like military. They were like, I remember one story I heard the military, there was like neighborhoods around a military base. And in the night, they would be testing these F-22s for stealth. And there was like reports of people saying there's UFOs and flying squirrels and all this stuff. And it was just the F-22s in the night testing. So I was like, that sounds like a similar type thing where it's just military testing. They're trying to find something. I've heard things that could be radioactive material, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But I want to transition a little bit into the NBA. We're all NBA fans here. We grew up watching basketball, grew up watching the NBA, and it's actually a little bit sad. But ever since 2012, NBA viewership has gone down 48%, which is insane because that's half your audience gone.
Is that real?
Yeah, literally 48% since 2012. So like 10-ish years, it's been drastically decreasing.
I stopped watching after COVID, bro. As soon as
Me
they went
too.
in that dome, I was like,
Yeah. And so there is some speculation. Why is it going down? But one of the things that is being covered is, has the NBA gone woke? And could that be to blame for why the ratings are going down? And I actually wanted to show you guys a clip here of Greg Popovich talking about...
Well, Greg
the NBA.
Popovich maybe give a preface of who that guy is.
Okay, so Greg Popovich, he's the coach of the Spurs. He's considered like one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best coach in the league. He's been around for decades. He was Tim Duncan's coach. He was Kawhi Leonard's coach.
Very well known, reputable,
Yep.
championship coach.
Yep.
But
he's got tons of championships.
I've already watched this video.
Let's just react. Okay, so here's the clip. I'll just put this here for you guys.
He's a liar. We all know him. But you wouldn't
He's
have
talking about Trump.
as an attorney general, as a prosecutor. He's a small fry compared to some of the people she's gone after. And he knows it. So all he can do is cut people down, and do what he does. He also all that kind of stuff. The ones that he can be even more angry about, because he's a damaged man. He grew up the biggest wannabe there ever was in New York. We all know him. He wanted to be in the inner circle, but they laughed at his whole life. Just like a lot of them made fun of him then, and he was about to melt. It angered him so bad, it was scary. But he was never accepted. He was treated like a fool, like a clown. And now he's able to use a finger to the world because of his position. And that's what he's doing. He's getting back at everybody because he's so small. He's got to go after everybody, just like with all the generals, Mike Pence, and all. We've all heard that before.
Well, first of all, I think the reason why the ratings have been going down is because it's Adam Silver's fault.
Yeah.
That's the main fault.
Well,
of
Adam
this.
Silver came in 2014, so
Yeah.
pretty close to.
So he's the
when it
That's
commissioner.
started.
pretty much when it
Time
started.
period,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like.
So that's the commissioner. And so here you have one of the most famous coaches
Like your best coach in the league.
in the NBA, and he's doing that type of talk, saying that kind of stuff with the NBA and the team logo behind him, and he is not being put in his place for saying that kind of stuff. He's cutting off half of your audience. 50% of the audience are Republicans. Over 50% of the people voted Trump in. So you shouldn't be talking like that. You shouldn't be pushing your own audience away. You're decreasing in attendance. You're decreasing in audience. You're going to be, it's affecting money.
Yeah.
It's affecting advertising money. It's going to affect every part of the NBA. And that's because Adam Silver is not challenging this kind of stuff and putting rules
Yeah.
around it. It's like picking a fight with the audience, like an NBA star playing basketball and picking a fight with the audience. You don't do that. You get fined for that kind of stuff. So should the NBA coaches for taking political sides. Go ahead.
I mean, you even see other
Other sports.
sports organizations. They're not allowed to talk about their political views.
Nor they should.
Yes, because of the points you made, they're literally wiping out half of the audience. A ton of money is going to be lost if they do that. Like, just keep it out of sports.
I watched this where Mahomes, the face of the NFL,
Yeah.
one of the most famous quarterbacks currently right now playing, and he was asked by the media, who are you voting for? You know, his wife liked Donald Trump's post. And then he was asked about it. He was asked, who is he voting for? And he stayed neutral.
Well, he even said, like, I don't want my position to affect you of who you should vote for or not. He's like, you should just go do your own research and then go and vote. And that's how it honestly should be. Like, you're an athlete, just stay an athlete. Like, I
So should
watch
the-
you.
And the coaches.
I watch you because you're good at sports, not because I care about who you're voting for.
Right.
And even like the coaches, like you have that platform with the Spurs logo behind you, and you're just blasting a political potential president.
But he's also just trashing the guy.
yeah, like
He's not even
dude,
being like, it's not an endorsement. It's literally like not like Kamala Harris is great, vote for her. It's literally Donald Trump
Trump
sucks. He
Yeah.
sucks, bro. He sucks.
Yeah, that's so
Like,
bad.
it's like this is
like,
even.
and it wouldn't even have been that bad if like Popovich was doing this on a podcast and he's like,
And he's
talking to
just like
someone.
Kamala Harris 2024.
Yeah.
That's that's way more chill than just being like, yo, dude is a little guy. He's just insecure and he's like trying to like.
He's so
He's so little. He's just doing. He's gonna try to get everybody because he felt so little his whole life. It's like this is the dumbest thing.
But yeah, honestly, I think that's Adam Silver. Like, you got to be calling him right after that and be like, bro, you're getting fined or you're not coaching.
Can't do that stuff.
Yeah, you
anymore.
can't do that stuff because literally, honestly, most sports people are like, I'd say probably 60% of them are Republican. You go to a college football game, an NFL
It's because
game.
the testosterone. It's probably because the testosterone.
We'll talk about that later. But like when Trump goes to the college games, they're not booing him. They're like in uproar, excited.
They're
to see
loving
Trump.
him.
Yeah. And then you wonder why the NBA is down in viewership.
Yeah, I think it's top to bottom. All the way they are woke in every single way. So for sure, I think NBA, if they don't get their act together, they're going to continue decreasing.
Oh,
And
100%.
It might be too late for them.
And I don't think it's like all to blame, the going woke stuff. Because I remember with COVID, there was the kneeling thing. I do think like just the game in general, it's gotten a little bit soft. Like,
Wait, when they kneeled or whatever, did any of those players get fined or like?
No.
and there was one guy who stood, Jonathan Isaac. But there was like the kneeling thing, and then they had the dome thing. I just feel like the game also has gotten super soft. Like they allow, remember like the James Harden fouling thing? Like where the dude just falls into guys and then,
Yeah,
like that's just so lame.
he has like majority of his points for the free throw line.
Yeah, like that's
It's
just
just
so
lame.
lame. Like the game's just gotten a little bit soft. But I think that also attributes to it. But I think also like even in my experience, I was just like after the COVID thing, I was like,
But I
NBA
feel like it
kinda
didn't
sucks.
majorly drop till COVID because I was still like hecka into it when like
Yes.
the Golden State was
Yeah,
going
all the way
on.
up to 20.
When LeBron and Curry were going at it every
Yeah.
year. But like I definitely think there's a lot of contributing factors. But like the whole dome thing, it was
And
like
going,
it's like, dude, LeBron won a championship and I don't even know. I
Not
didn't
even-
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
even watch
oh,
the
he has a
finals.
fourth. That's crazy. But yeah, and he's in like the major GOAT conversation too. I'm like,
didn't even watch.
that one doesn't even count almost.
It's a half a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's change the subject here a little bit. Let's talk about something that is kind of the heart of the matter here for today's podcast on how to find a godly wife and pursuing her. Okay.
Not
So
fumble the bag.
not fumble.
Keep kicking the tires.
Yeah. Inside joke. But we're going to tackle this, how to find a godly wife and how to pursue her properly.
Yep.
And, you don't find a godly wife by accident, and it has to be intentional. And just like I told you guys growing up, this is probably next to Jesus, next to having a relationship with God. This is the second most important decision that you'll make in your entire life. So I'd like to start with you guys. Maybe we'll start with Michael, and then we'll go into Elijah. Because Michael, you've been married for 4 years.
Yep.
Right? And then you're engaged.
Yep.
So you're,
That's right.
the dating just got done.
Just ended. Yeah.
So you both
Congrats.
getting married in June. So you both, are fairly close to it. I mean, you're a little further. I'm definitely far away from it. 27 years of marriage. So
We're still young though.
yeah, I'm still young. Anyways, Michael, why don't you start us off with telling us a little bit your story and kind of that dating season,
Yeah.
and specifically, like, what were you looking for in a woman? How did you find her? How did you pursue her? And what are some things you could actually help, the audience in
Yeah.
learning on some of these things?
Yeah, I can sure share my story a little bit. If you look at me, Elijah's, and Gabriel's story, we all found our wives in some kind of Bible training school. YMDTS.
Pretty much.
YMDTS. Gabriel was an IHOP Bible school, 10 years in church. But that would be one of the first things I would say is get around a community. But like the main thing I would say is go to a place of like-minded Christians, because that's where they're going to be. Go to where Christians are gathering, go to youth groups, go to young adult groups, get connected with people. Don't think you're going to find your wife sitting in the basement playing Fortnite and then checking Tinder, right? So I was actually 17, had never dated anyone before, never had a girlfriend, and mom and dad were running YWAM DTS, and I kind of just like hung around the base all the time because I was half homeschooled, half public school, because I was playing for the public school's basketball team, and the requirement was you had to take 2 classes there. So like I would go do my 2 classes, and then I would literally just go to the base and hang out. And Hannah, she just started doing her YMDTS, and so all my friends are at the base, so I just go hang out, and I was like, oh, who's that? Type thing in my mind.
Dad, that's it.
And so then I remember I got asked, because I did like photography and video at the time, I got asked to go be the photographer for this young adult conference. And Hannah, she's a worship leader. She was actually the worship leader at the conference. And this was actually like a month before her DTS. But I was at the conference, and that's where like she got my attention. I was like, who's this girl? And so then she came and did her DTS a month later. I actually remember at like a games night, I started talking to her, flirting with her a little bit, see what she was like. We started talking over text because obviously during DTS you can't have relationships. And it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like random little flirting. But then I got in trouble because one of the girls on the staff told you guys.
Because there's a rule. Like,
Yeah, well, I
there
said
was a
that.
rule. Yeah. So
No
that rule was-
relationships.
yeah, so that was the important part.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
But they told them, and so then Dad got on me. And then I went in to apologize to Hannah for obviously breaking the rules and
Being a bad
distracting
boy.
her.
They're
During
into
her-
the bad boys.
during her DTS. Fast forward like 6 months, she comes back from her outreach. Hannah had a little bit of a past of partying. She had a lot of relationships with a lot of different guys. Part of her testimony was she just found identity in what other guys thought about her. So she kind of did guy hopping, where she would go to guy to guy.
Getting
to guy.
validation from
Yeah.
guys.
Getting validation from the attention from guys. And so she noticed that in her life. And so she comes back from outreach, and there's a little more backstory to that, but she pretty much was like, hey, I'm going to do a year with the Lord of no guys, just me and Jesus. And most of the time that sounds like just an easy excuse to be like, nah, I don't really
It's a
like
drop
you.
a guy.
Yeah, I don't really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you. But there's a little more backstory to it, but I was kind of like, okay, whatever. because it was really, there wasn't much to it. It was kind of just like an unspoken thing. And so then fast forward 6, 7 months, I started doing my DTS, and she actually she had already planned to come on staff for that DTS. And I was actually deciding between doing DTS in Kansas City or Medicine Hat. I decided to do it in Medicine Hat, and she was on my staff. And
It was your staff.
yeah, like she
You
came on
dirty
staff
dog.
during that school. And so then we're going through the DTS, and I just was honestly wanting to see if there was any changes in her life from her past. There was actually a specific dream I had, like I think it was like 2 months into my DTS. I saw, it was like a white room, and I saw a bathtub, and I was looking like straight onto the bathtub, and I see Hannah in the bathtub. I didn't see her naked. No, it wasn't a Bathsheba situation. And it was just like her head, and I could see that she's in the bathtub. And I forget, there was like a song. Do you remember this? There was like a song playing.
Like
Lily's
Christine
song.
DeMarco, yeah.
Lily song. There was a song like playing in the background. And then I heard, "Don't pursue until you heat." And then there was oil falling like over her. Again, I didn't see her naked. And the voice said, "Don't pursue until you see the results of the washing." And so then I was like, wow, that's pretty wild. So I think I wrote it down, and I honestly was just paying attention, just watching how she was around guys, seeing if she was flirting with guys, seeing if she had still residue from her past.
Yeah.
And it was like night and day different. Like she wouldn't even, like a guy would come around and she like would give a short answer and then just walk away.
Oh, that's fire.
And then like there was like just like a bunch of stuff like that I was watching. And even like with me, like she didn't really flirt with me like she did before. It was like very short conversations. I noticed that in her, and I liked it. And so then I go on my outreach, and I didn't talk to her at all for the whole outreach. I think her birthday was during my outreach. I think I just sent her a happy birthday text. But then I come back. There was still a little bit undecided with mom and dad and her on if she was the right person to go after, because a lot of things in her past, we didn't know fully if she had accomplished what she was setting out to do in that year. And so it actually was like, I think it was a couple weeks after I came back from outreach, and me and dad were actually working out at the gym. We're like walking around the track at the end, and dad goes, "Hey, do you still like that girl?" I'm like, "Yeah, I still like her." And then he's like, do you want to go to a movie with her with our family? I'm like, what? Because low-key, I thought mom and dad didn't really like her. There's more backstory to it. But so then I was like, yeah, for sure, definitely. And so then I go, I think I called her and she didn't pick up, and then I texted her. And then I was like, "Hey, my family's going to a movie tonight. Do you want to come with me? And me and Bella will come, and my sister will come and pick you up." She says, "Yeah." And then we go to the movie. It was super awkward because I was young and socially awkward, honestly. Didn't know how to communicate super well. And Bella was a lifesaver sitting in the back seat. So we go through this movie night. We just got to know each other a little bit more. We go for dinner after with the family. And then after she tells me she wouldn't have said yes if I would have asked her a day before, because the day before was the last day of her year. And it wasn't even like, I didn't know when the end was, and it wasn't even my idea. It was dad's idea. So that was kind of wild. So pretty much fast forward a little bit, we did an intentional friendship phase for 5 or 6 months. I can't remember fully. Where it was pretty much I hung out at her family's house. She hung out at my family's house. It was all in groups. If we did hang out one-on-one, it was really just over FaceTime or eating somewhere in a public place. Just because I wanted to kick the tires, like dad say, just see what
You wanted
she's
to
like.
see if it was
Like if her past was her past.
evaluating.
Yeah, I was just evaluating, asking very specific questions, being open and honest. And then 5, 6 months later, started dating, got engaged a year later, and then we got married and moved to Kansas
Now
City.
you got 3 kids.
Now I got 3 kids.
Well, with dating, I mean, dating really is kicking the tires.
Yeah.
It's really an evaluation stage.
Yeah.
It's not about, marriage, meaning fully. It's actually just to see, is this person, not just do we vibe?
Yeah.
Much
Or
more than
are
that.
we
Is she?
compatible?
I think we get, guys and girls get infatuated pretty easily, and then you don't even see properly the relationship. You don't see properly that person. And so I really believe in the evaluation stage and kicking the tires And not only that, having other people involved
Yeah.
to speak into it
Yeah.
with veto power. And so obviously my first go-to would be parents involved. But if, they're not good parents, or I should say godly parents with godly wisdom, then who around you could be that person?
Yeah.
So that's my viewpoint on this. And obviously you guys agree with that. Elijah, why don't you tell us a little bit of your story? Because you're fairly new to this. You're engaged. So your dating season just kind of completed. Tell us a little bit of yours.
Well, before I go into my story, I kind of want to talk about what I wanted in a girl beforehand.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I would literally lay in bed and imagine what my wife looked like. Where is she at right now? I was like one of those type of kids, I guess. But I always wanted a girl that wanted a lot of kids. That was a deal breaker for me. I had that in my head. Then I wanted low maintenance. I have it written down and everything, but the main two ones was one wants kids. I'm attracted to her, and she's low maintenance. And low drama is the one that I also wanted, because I was just like, dude, after reading Proverbs, I was like,
It's better to be on my
I was like, I don't want to sit on the corner of a roof, but
For the rest of my life.
not very comfortable.
But so I met her in Orlando. Her name's Elizabeth. In the DTS, no dating, but God knows we flirted a lot.
Well, there's no rule on no flirt.
No flirting,
no
but no dating, but we flirted. But the things I liked about her was
One thing, preface, we gotta tell a little backstory to you going to DTS. Yes.
Yes.
We all go to Dallas for a family trip. We all go to Dallas on a family trip. And we're just like,
We do a family night where we're
we're
gonna
am I
talk-
there?
Yeah, we're all praying. We're gonna pray for each other, and so everyone's gonna give a little bit of an update.
and so we're all going in a circle saying like
What's your prayer request?
updates on our life, and then a prayer request. How can the family be praying for you?
Right.
And then we get to Elijah, and this guy goes, I like women. I don't want to be distracted during DTS.
So let him do what he said.
Just like that.
And we were dying. We're like,
You
you
kind of
like?
pause. I like women. Pause.
I was like, what, bro? You like women? It's like, what is that?
Guys, just
Guys, I like women.
guys, pray for me, guys.
Let's
Deep
go.
intercession.
Go back in the story. Go back to the story.
Was that? I just
That was
Right,
it.
so you're in school.
because I didn't want to be distracted. I was like,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
girls, no girls, no girls. Week 1, bro. Started flirting with this chick. 3 actually. But I met her. One thing I check every time I like a girl, guaranteed 1,000, like the first thing. Almost like as soon as I said, oh, I think she's pretty, right after, like probably minutes, I look up her Instagram.
Have to.
You have to look up their Instagram. I always look up, I was like, chick's modest. I was like, that's awesome. That's really what I want. Because one of the other things that I had on my list was doesn't look for attention from guys. A main thing for me. So I was like, she's modest. And then throughout the entire DTS, we flirted on and off, but we didn't really like confess feelings like that until probably right before outreach. Because it was like a 3-day before outreach. But we started liking each other. And then I was like, I didn't know if I liked her yet. It was kind of on and off for a bit. But then I knew I liked her right before outreach. And then I really started, because I need to say this part though. So she tells me she likes me after we're flirting. Okay, she tells me she likes me. I was like, dang, that's crazy. So I tell her I liked her. But I was waiting. I was still flirting with her, seeing if I liked her because I wasn't sure. And I wanted to be sure before I say I like her, so I'm not like I didn't want to be up and down with my feelings.
Did you respond to her like I like?
I
you too?
said, but so I was in these highs and lows, kind of. I was like, maybe yes, no, yes, and I wasn't gonna tell her. I was just gonna wait until something was consistent. And so she tells me she likes me on a high, okay, and then I tell her I like her back. Probably a week goes by. I'm like, I don't know, dude. So I tell her I don't like her.
Dang.
I know. So then so we go on Christmas break. We come back for Christmas in Orlando. That's how they do it there in DTS. Some DTS are on outreach. But we come back and she starts acting like herself. Like she's super like fun. I'm like, man, I'm super into her personality. Because I think during that Christmas time after I said I didn't like her, she's like, bro, I'm done with this. And just stopped
I'm
caring.
just gonna be myself.
Yeah, I'm just giving myself, I'm done caring. And then I was like, This not Karen thing. I'm enjoying this. Like, you're a fun person. So in that week before outreach, I really liked her. And then we flirted and talked a little bit on outreach. And then I called with her while I was in Mexico. She was in Africa. And I said, no talking until after outreach, because you can't date during DTS.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk pretty much the whole outreach. And then we started dating right after outreach. And then we've been dating like 2 years. And now I got engaged in August, which is fire. And we're about to get married June 6th. So something like that.
Well, let's jump in. I'd love to help the audience, anyone listening, any guys that are listening, thinking about, how do I find her? Where do I find her? What do I do if I do find her? Is she potential? Is she not potential? What characteristics to look for? A lot of times this information or this kind of stuff is taught to girls, but a lot of times they're not taught to guys. And me just being a dad of, I have 5 sons. This became really important to know to help my sons. And so I had to learn it myself. So I'd like to teach other guys on some of the stuff. So I'm just going to go through what should I be looking for? So I want to just go over some questions. Now, guys have to be intentional. They have to be looking
with everything.
Intentional, and yes, intentional about everything. But it's not like winning the lottery. You don't just get lucky or you just have bad luck. One, Michael just said, you have to be in around the right community. That is key. If you're in the wrong community thinking that, oh yeah, she's
like an intentional search too.
right.
Going to those, even specifically, if you're interested in a girl and there's one church that doesn't have any girls in it and young people in general, and there's one that does, and you're a single guy and you want a wife, go to the one with the single girls and the young people and have community. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
And build friendships.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
My point there.
Yes. Find out through the friendship community. So, because the Bible says this, Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord.
Yeah.
So the word find, you have to go looking. It's a treasure.
Yeah.
Another verse in Proverbs 31, verse 10 says, an excellent wife who can find.
Yeah.
She is far more precious than jewels. So it's a treasure hunt.
Yeah. And I actually want to hit on something like that. I've actually noticed in society, even growing up as a teenager, the temptation for guys to be lazy and passive. And what I've actually noticed is society has kind of turned into that, where the girls are the ones pursuing the guys. Like, I remember playing basketball growing up. Girls would always be coming, asking, this is not to gloat, but they were the one pursuing me when I was doing like literally nothing. Like, I'm just playing basketball. They'd coming up to me.
Yeah, normally
game,
like
asking for numbers,
it'd be
trying
the
to take
guy doing
pictures,
that. Yeah.
asking for Snapchat and Instagram and all this stuff. But it's kind of reversed, and guys have kind of sat back and are like, oh, the girl will just find me if they like me. But no, just like how the Bible says, you have to go and find the girl. You have to be intentional, and you can't be passive. Once you find that girl and you be intentional, she's going to respect you so much more because you actually took the steps
100%.
to go and pursue a relationship and a friendship.
Yeah. So let me jump into some questions that men need to ask when looking for a girl. Okay. So here's my number one question that I think guys should be asking. Does she have noble character? So if you don't know what is noble character, then you're not going to ever find it.
And what is noble character?
Noble character, like the integrity, honesty, faithful, generous, giving, kind, all those types of characteristics that are noble. But if you're not in the community of friendship, it's not by looking at her Instagram that you're going to find, does she have noble character or not? I mean, you can see a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
It's very shallow. So you got to go build a relationship with her, a friendship, so that you can find that. Number 2 question, and you kind of alluded to this, is she modest?
Yeah.
1 Timothy 2:9. Is she modest? And this one was a big one. I think we've talked about this many times. The reason why Elijah went to the Instagram to check her out, and the first thing you look for is she modest? What is she revealing?
Yeah, she having any of those little
Booty pics.
Yeah, like, dude, if there's booty pics, immediate no.
It's not just that, those pictures, just all sorts of pictures that are revealing her body in inappropriate ways that should not be shared with the world, but should be saved for you.
Yeah.
And so if you're the potential husband.
Yeah.
So is she modest? Number 3, will she follow your leadership? Is she willing to? Is she humble? or is the feminist mindset already there? Otherwise, guys have been given a mandate to do something in your life, a purpose. And the Bible was really clear that it's not good for man to be alone. He had a mandate to be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. He also had a mandate to tend the keep. And so a wife is supposed to be a helper. That's not lesser. That's supposed to be a helper to solve the issues of life together.
Yeah.
So is she willing to go where you're going? Is she willing to do the things that you're wanting to do in your life? Does she want to do some of those?
I actually have something I want to add on that. Because there's certain things that I had for myself as I want to talk about non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And like things you want in a girl. Because not necessarily because she could have noble character, she could love the Lord, she would get faithful, humble, be a good wife. Except there could be something like she wants a lot of kids. Maybe you don't want maybe you don't want a lot of kids, maybe you do. But one thing for me is I want a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So she could have all those things, but even the evaluation stage it doesn't always have to do with even character. It also has to do with what do you want your life to look like. And I wanted a ton of kids around in my life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, even when you're sitting around, think of stuff to evaluate even yourself before you start evaluating what do I want my life to look like. And then when you're pursuing that girl, be evaluating not only character, but does this match with this is an absolute for me. If I don't get this, I don't want this girl.
Yeah.
Because there could so be girls out there that have that check everything on the list. But if there's this one thing that's absolutely non-negotiable for me, I'm not pursuing it.
Yeah.
Because having kids is a really big deal to me.
And really, Elijah, what you just said though, is also you valued yourself and you valued that non-negotiable. You wanted that so badly. And I think some guys are willing to compromise on some of these things. Number one, they may not know her. Number two, just because she's pretty, they're willing to compromise some of those values because she's pretty.
But I think a lot of guys also don't even have those type of conversations with girls.
Yeah.
They don't ask because they
Or
don't
even-
even
or
think
even with
about it for
themselves.
themselves.
Or even with themselves.
Yeah, they don't even
Exactly right.
think about it for themselves to even ask. Because like if maybe I've thought by myself I want a lot of kids, but like you haven't even talked to her about it, but you're already 4 months into dating. What is that?
Wow.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't even have started dating that girl if I knew that she didn't want kids. Because I'd be like, that is one of the biggest things I want that I will never get. It's just that like in those aspects, it's don't waste your time.
So let's go another one. Another question that guys should be asking is, can you provide the lifestyle that she expects? So, a lot of times, especially if you're a young guy, you don't know the amount of money you can make. You don't know what you're going to be doing as far as career or assignment in your life, but you can find out what does she want in her life and can you actually afford, or do you really want to give your life up to actually pay for those things that she's desiring? Do they line up with your vision in the future financially? Is she loud? Is she quarreling? Is she foolish? Is she unfaithful? Does she have drama? You mentioned the drama, but I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think it's a big deal because do you want peace in life later on? Because there is no, you buy that is for life.
Yeah.
And so this whole idea of do you want that type of woman next to you? And is she quarreling, fighting, gossipy, all this stuff? You want that?
Yeah, 100%. Because also when you have kids, you really create it. You know this because I'm really similar. You create mini me's because you're gonna have, if you have a daughter, they're gonna be like the wife. So like all the family drama you hear about all these families, oh my family is crazy. I'm like it's probably because the dude chose a dramatic girl, just gossiping, and then their daughters all get together and they gossip. And I'm like, in our family, maybe it's contributed to like a lot of boys, and mom's just like a treasure. She's just great. But like, I've never experienced a crazy amount of drama in our family like I hear from a lot of other families. And I'm like, I think
got the cop coming too.
And I think a big contributor is definitely the woman you chose because she kind of, especially if you are a working dude, they're cultivating a lot of what your house is like in terms of peace.
Yeah. I think the guy, the husband really sets the tone, the direction and the vision of the whole, of the family.
Yeah.
But the mom sets the culture and the tone
Of the house.
of the house.
Yeah.
So that drama the level of the drama is really set by her.
Yeah.
And so you really want to kick the tires on for sure. Is she a one-man woman?
Yeah.
So this really has to deal with flirting.
Yeah.
So when you get into that friend group, seeing if that girl is flirting around,
Yeah.
No,
No.
for sure.
checking a bunch of guys out. When you guys watch movies, is she going like, oh, that guy's cute, and that guy's cute, and that guy's cute, and all this stuff? Then what happens is, where do you fit into all this? Because if she's interested in that guy, really, are you not going to be number one in her life later on?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
And a way you can even find that out, because sometimes you're not going to find it out in an infatuation stage, because she might like you, you like her, and you're not going to, because usually infatuation lasts like 6 months to a year, where it's like, that you both like each other and it's all emotions, feeling based. You can find out by hanging out with her friends, hanging out with her family. What is she like in a group setting when there's a bunch of other dudes that are also good looking guys? Like, how can you gauge that and see how she responds in conversation with other guys?
Yeah.
That's a way to tell
100%.
that.
Okay, so here's another one. Is she hardworking? Another question. Is she hardworking? Does she bring in profit? Does she do tasks? Does she bring in finances? Proverbs 31 speaks this. Proverbs 31 is a proverb written to a son from a mom. This is what to look for
In a woman.
in a woman. The mom is actually teaching the son, this is what to look for. Is she hardworking? Or, as soon as she gets paid, is that money leaving? Because that's probably going to be happening to you too. You're working, you're bringing in the finances, and it's gone because it's not valued. And hard work maybe not be valued. So I think guys should be asking, like, what time does she wake up in the morning? Is she waking up at 2:00 in the afternoon? Or is she actually getting to work? Is she building something? Is she building her own vision right now? Because those things are going to help you determine, do I want a woman that I have to always be pushing? I remember Jonathan said that I wanted a woman, because I asked him this question a long time ago,
He's our uncle, his
Yeah.
brother-in-law.
my brother-in-law, and kind of had invested in your guys' life. And he wanted a woman that would sharpen him. So when it came even to career and, for him, it was a ministry. So he wanted a woman that would sharpen in his relationship with God.
Yeah.
I think this has to do with it as well. Is she willing to build, work hard and build finances along with you? Because that's what you're going to be doing for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important question. Another one is,
She might just be working at Starbucks.
Right.
And she just has to go to her shift. Like, sometimes you're not going to be able to figure out, is she hardworking? But one way you can tell is, one of my non-negotiables actually for finding a wife was, is she teachable? Because if the woman is teachable, one, there's going to be way less fights. There's going to be way more repentance. There's going to be way more forgiveness. And when you confront her with something in a good way, it's not going to be defensive. That was literally like one of my biggest things in terms of character. I was like, I just want
Because
a
you
woman
want
who's
somebody who's
teachable.
going to grow.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you can't grow, then it doesn't matter. Like, because you might not find out if a girl's hardworking at 18 and she just works at Starbucks.
True.
But if you see that she's a teachable person and she's willing to change when you confront her about something, then that's a good characteristic to know.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to be you too. Because,
Yeah.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to be teachable
Well,
too.
honestly, everything on this list, because I see a lot of I've literally seen this happen where like guys get together or girls get together and they'll like rate guys and girls. And it's like, guys, what are we doing here? Like,
You mean they're on their looks?
Oh,
yeah, like they're rating people on their looks. It's like, guys, if you're not these things on your like imaginary list, if you're not the thing on the list, then stop making this list because it's dumb.
yeah.
Like, make a list, and it might not be for the person you're looking for. It should be the list that you're trying to become. Because if you're not a teachable
Because
person,
you attract
what you become.
what you are.
If you're not hardworking, but you want
You
a
get what
hardworking
you
wife.
are,
Like, if
basically.
you're just chilling in the basement playing Fortnite every day, eating chips and pop, and you're like, oh yeah, I want a girl who loves to work out and
And it's just a fit.
be a fit. And it's like, dude, you have a pot belly and you play Fortnite all day. It's
And
like,
you're only in your 20s.
yeah,
It's
it's like, bro,
your
come
peak.
on.
This is supposed to be your peak right here.
It's like, bro, go be hardworking if you want a hardworking woman.
Okay, next question
Next
you should
one.
be asking is, do you want your daughters to be like her and your sons to marry someone like her?
Yeah.
Because she's literally going to be raising your kids, and do you want that all around? You're going to multiply that. So this is an important question.
Generation.
I like this question a lot because I think a lot of guys can learn a lot. Man, do I want my daughters to be like her? Do I want my sons to marry someone like her? Because that's what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Another question is, how does she treat her dad? Now, this was an important one for me. How does she treat her dad? How does she treat her siblings? So is she honoring to her dad? Does she talk good about her dad? Or does she just care that her dad is bringing her money?
Yeah.
Or does she have a relationship with her dad? How does she view her dad? I think that's an important question. And maybe she doesn't have a dad.
Yeah.
So how does she view men then? I think you should be
Men in
considering that.
authority.
Men in authority. Yep.
Yeah.
And
she-
siblings.
Actually honoring to authority.
Right.
Because that will actually show you if she's going to be honoring to your authority in the future.
Right.
Like if there's someone above her and she's always talking behind their back, bashing them, she's going to do that to you.
100%.
Yeah.
So another one is she a gossip? Is she in other people's business? If you are around a woman who is gossiping about other people and involved in other people's business.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's gossiping about maybe a fight you guys had? Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible. 100%. Because if you're, say, you have a fight and then she's gossiping, oh my gosh, a lot.
She tells everybody
this and this. Oh, he did this.
Yeah.
And then you guys, now her friends are mad at you and the girl's mad at you. You guys could make up and then her friends are still mad. And you're just like, this is crazy. It's just a headache, really.
And it's only going to get worse. If she's doing that in dating, it's going to get worse.
Multiplies in marriage.
Multiplied. So this would be a huge one to look at.
Yep.
Here's another one. And I think this is fairly new for me that I put this on the list. Does she want to be around your family? Does she
That's a good one.
does she like your family? Okay. Does she like your family? Because is she going to encourage you to be around your family, or is she going to separate you from your family? So I see that a lot because, if she's wanting for you to hang out with her family, but I'm not going to hang out with that family so much. Yours? During the holidays, during Christmas, during even this hangout nights, let's go hang out with my family. And they don't want to? You got to run flag. Run away.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't want to be around your family, you're in trouble. You love your family. Hopefully you do. And even if you don't have,
She should still be trying to meet the family, even if you had a bad family, honestly. That's what I think.
she should be building a bridge
Yeah.
to your parents, to your siblings. She should,
Especially before marriage. This is a pursuit season you're talking about.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely, because you guys aren't one yet. So, yeah, definitely even the
big red flag.
big
if
red
she's not.
flag.
Yeah.
Another one is, what does she want? And you alluded to this earlier. What does she want in a family? Okay. Does she want children? Does she want kids? What do you want? And I'm not even talking about the number of kids, but
Yeah.
what's your heart towards kids? Do you want to partner with a person, a woman that wants kids too, or not so much, not the value system?
Or like even it could be even something like, I want my family and us to be in ministry our whole lives. But she doesn't want to be in ministry. That is going to be a tough conversation when it comes up.
Yeah.
When you have made it your whole life. I want to be in ministry. She doesn't.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. But if you have had this, like me and Liz have had conversations where I want to start a business and make money so then I don't have to raise support. No, nothing against the raising support lifestyle. I mean, I grew up in it. But I want to start a business and then our end goal is to be in ministry. I mean, if you have these different viewpoints on what your life is going to look like, and she's had this thing her whole life and you've had this thing, and they're both deal breakers, that's going to be a conflict later.
For the rest of your marriage.
For your whole marriage, you're going to be fighting about what are we going to do,
Yeah.
rather than becoming a couple powerhouse and just destroying the ministry realm or
Yeah.
a business
whatever
realm,
it is.
whatever you
Like
decide. It
willing
should
to
align.
change with that. vision.
Yeah, or you're at least going to compromise in a way where you are both going to just become a powerhouse couple in whatever metric you decide.
Because it's hard to do something when someone's not, like if you're always fighting the inside
Yeah.
and you're trying to do something on the outside.
And obviously there's going to be disagreements, but are you also being a person that is also able to compromise and vice versa for her in what are we deciding in little things and big things?
That's good. So hopefully that was helpful on answering questions, while you're evaluating what type of girl, where she should be, what kind of girl you should be looking at. I think those questions are going to be pivotal for you to jump in on.
And I would even say, like, with what we just talked about, because I've seen in like the hyper Christian niches of people, I've even seen like the whole thing where it's like, oh, God told me that you're my husband or a wife. Don't
Yeah.
do that. It's not going to work. Okay.
Yeah.
Just never do that. Usually with hearing God's voice, when it comes to those type of scenarios, there's a lot of flesh involved, and you're probably not thinking clearly.
She just pretty. That's it.
And another thing I've also seen is people over spiritualize relationships so much.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, bro.
I have seen this so many times with girls where they like a guy, they start a relationship or an intentional friendship, and then they're kind of turned off by something, and then they use the excuse, I feel like God's telling me not to do this relationship, or I don't feel peace about it. Just start with an intentional friendship phase. Get with a couple that you like their relationship, get advice from them, and then just ride it out and see if there's a person that is ready for marriage. Don't just be so up and down, ran by your feelings. The Bible even says that the heart is deceitful above all else. So don't listen to your feelings.
And also, I think there's an intentional aspect, even with, because like a man's pursuing, you're supposed to find the girl, be intentional. But there's also, I've seen this thing where it's like, I'm just waiting for God to send me the one.
My Boaz.
But there is things definitely a woman can do to be intentional about getting the guy. Also, the girl should also become the list that they make for themselves.
Yes.
So that takes intention. Can't just be like also wanting a fit guy, but you're not. You know what I mean? And so you're sitting there just like, God, I'm just waiting for my Boaz to just come up on my doorstep. And I'm like, bro, you literally have a 300 list, 300 things on this list, and you are maybe 5 of them. So I think guys and girls should do that, but there's also some intention that girls can also put in.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot more to dive into this topic, but that was just a little bit of it.
Well, this is the next segment. We're going to back to Bottom Line Takes and Games.
Let's go.
And we're going to do a worship leader draft. So the rules are we're just going to go alternate. And
Sure.
then if I pick someone, you can't.
So we're picking the worship leader.
Worship leader drafts, greatest, like your top worship
Your
leader.
lineup.
Your lineup. Your top 3. That's basically the rules.
Okay.
And everyone, if you see me drinking my Red Bull can,
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored or anything. But Red Bull, if you're seeing this, Celsius beat you to it. Honestly.
Yeah. Back it up a little. Back up into the light a little, like on the table. Dang, Celsius out here cooking.
Man, Red Bull, you gotta get on that for sure.
They already in our inbox emailing us.
Yeah.
The Big Bad Bottom Line Podcast.
We're the Big Deal Bottom Line Podcast, so we Celsius got it first. Red Bull, I'm sorry. There'd have been major bucks coming to you could have called us, but so let's go. You're the oldest. Let's go.
Okay,
Let's do oldest first.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you're
Keith Green.
that was not well. He's not number 1 for me, but
David from the Bible.
actually, I forgot.
Number 1 worship. David.
That's a sleeper, babe.
Lucifer before the fall.
There's a before the fall. He's like pretty good. He wrote like all the songs.
If you look in the middle of the Bible, the biggest book in the Bible, it's a lot of songs in there. So I'm gonna have to go.
That's funny.
All right.
Good go.
Okay, number 1,
Keith Green.
no, Pino is still my boy.
Okay, he's got Rick.
All right.
Rick I'm gonna go John Thurlow, because he can do corporate, he can do prayer room, he can do jazz.
That is a good one, just because I'll literally be like, it's probably the only one at like 6 a.m. I can listen to and just be like,
Or
Is it-
turn it on like a late night drive with the windows down.
Yeah,
and
and
be
you're like-
jamming.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can jam
I
to
like
him,
me some John
or
Thurlow
you
too.
can
dude,
encounter Poppy
it's
God.
so chill, but for some reason so versatile. I can be just doing it with squats. I'll let it be on squats and I'll be
No
like,
way.
there's
I
never
cannot
been a
work out with
man
worship.
who's more alive. No, actually.
Okay, you're
But mine, I'm going to go with one that I've been listening to recently a lot is,
I don't.
the guy in your presence.
Jason Up.
Jason Upton
Oh, yeah.
has been the guy I've been going to all the time.
Jason Upton.
Jason Upton's been my guy.
Okay, so first three: Rick Pino,
Rick Bino,
John Thurlow,
John Thurlow,
Jason Upton.
Jason Upton.
Yeah, you're up.
Number
Next
2,
pick.
it is Keith Green.
Chief Greens.
I'm going old school.
Old school.
Julius Erving. Shane's big game.
Old school. Michael.
Second pick, I'm gonna go. Ooh, this is tough. I'll probably go Amanda Cook.
Oh,
All right, that's pretty good. That's
Super
pretty good.
versatile.
Also, because we know her.
That was
We'll tell you
my
that.
my number
Tell you that
3
story.
pick. That's too bad.
One that I've also been going at lately, I'm gonna go Kim Walker or Kim Walker Smith, I think is what it is now. I'm
married.
gonna go Kim Walker.
Okay.
Spirit Breakout has been one that's been hitting hard for me.
You're up,
Okay.
Poppy.
So number 3, mine was Amanda Cook, but I will go with Corey Asbury.
Oh, that's a
Very versatile.
That's a good one.
Very versatile.
A little bit more fun.
Dang, what should I do here? I'm gonna go
Okay.
Dante Bowe. I'm gonna go Dante Bowe.
Okay.
Just because I gotta have those deep vocals.
Okay, I got one. You guys aren't gonna expect it. King David. No, I'm gonna go with Misty Edwards.
Misty.
Misty Edwards. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one that it's hard for me.
That's it.
All right, wait. So what is it?
We got. You got
So you had first pick.
Okay. Say your three.
Rick Pino, Keith Green, and Corey Asbury.
And what's mine?
John Thurlow, Amanda Cook, and Dante Bowe.
Okay.
And Elijah was Jason Upton, Kim Walker Smith, and I didn't write the third.
Okay.
Misty.
I wish I would have gone Upper Room.
Was it Misty?
Upper Room.
I thought about
so-
doing upper.
But on it, but it's like not a. It's like a band. It's like a whole crew. But I think it counts.
dude, you gotta do the Joel Fagario
Joel Figaro.
impression. Do the impression quick. He's so good at this.
I never heard it.
No, Joe Figaro.
Wolfgang.
Joe Figaro, shout out, bro. He'll be literally in worship. Oh, wash me in the water of God. And he just like mid-session, Lord, oh yes, play the strings of my heart. Wash me in the water. Bathe me in the bathing of the water. It's like, it's just good.
It's good.
Yeah.
We love you, Joe.
I am just a string. Play me as I'm just a note on the harp of your heart, God. It's just like, it's great.
He's good.
Good job.
Joe Figaro, shout out, yeah. You can sponsor us too.
Up room.
Upper Room, you can make
Upper Room.
tons of
I'll
money.
send
in
you
this,
a
bro.
that of you. Okay, Mags.
The myth for today, we're going with the myth is you need to validate my feelings.
Okay, so like the phrase,
Yeah.
like, and what's the context? Like a girl saying that,
It's,
or anyone?
I think most of the time in culture, it's the girl saying it,
Okay.
where it's like, you got to validate my feelings before we even take a single step in this conversation. It's over for you. You didn't validate my feelings. Everyone, I feel like I think it goes in way more than just in like women. It's just
Okay,
in
so you think
culture-
anyone? Okay.
In culture, it's like a rule. You have to validate my feeling. And I want to talk about that. And I have questions with you. Didn't you? You've been married?
What? Well, listen. This is so, women love validating your feelings. Moms teach their daughters and their sons about validating their feelings. So this is actually really embedded in culture. And so, and I don't think we're fully, I don't think we're that great at it, to be honest with you, because there's some value to this.
No,
So-
there's value to things like I think like sympathy, empathy,
It's good.
acknowledging that this is a feeling
how you
are right
feel.
now. I think that is a good thing. But I want to dive more into
Yes,
Just
because
to-
what tends to
with
happen,
well, the byproducts of this phrase in culture. In
Yeah,
culture
'cause
is what I want.
What tends
talk
to happen is that you don't really, you're paying attention to the feelings rather than the thing that's going around. The
Okay.
issue or the conversation or the confrontation or the disagreement. And that's where
Like it's a distraction.
it's total distraction.
Okay.
You know, it's like, let's talk about this rather than let's talk about
Here's
this.
the main topic of the conversation, the actual conflict, the thing that's going to help us work this out. But you haven't validated my feelings, so we're not ever going to go there.
Okay.
Is I think,
I would say, first of all, like you were saying, it's good to have empathy. It's good to have sympathy. But the Bible says the heart is deceitful above all else, like I said earlier. So living by your feelings is usually not a good idea anyway.
and they lie.
No, and the Bible also says, kill your flesh. What is a part of your flesh? Your feelings. So, like, just living by your feelings and having that. as
Well,
your
okay,
North
but like
Star
not
does
you're
work.
not like God gave us feelings and emotions
sure.
to like
Feelings are
100%.
feelings,
Feelings
are
are good.
good.
Feelings are a good
Yeah,
thing.
they
There's
bring-
a lot of
they
good
bring-
emotion.
Yeah, they bring to life things. They bring color to our lives.
Even
yeah.
even in bad situations like mourning, sadness, there's parts that are all good.
Yes.
But I think
Following your feelings.
Is what I'm
living
saying.
by your feelings, I think, is what you're
That's
talking
Yeah.
where,
about.
that's where things
yeah.
can get funny.
Where they're the North Star guiding
Right.
direction.
Yeah.
So they become way more important than the issues at hand.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
And also the Bible speaks about, he doesn't even talk to you about in scripture about, fixing your feelings. He actually talks about fixing your thought life. Romans chapter 12,
You be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
Don't conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So he's speaking about changing your mind, because if you change your mind, you change your feelings,
Yeah.
Feelings follow your mind.
your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you actually go validate my feelings, well, really, what have you been thinking about? So I have no problem with validating your feelings. Acknowledge that's how you feel. I acknowledge maybe I did that. I'm sorry you feel like that. So you're acknowledging that, to get that out of the way, so then you can deal with the real thing, the real issues. And it might be their thoughts. And it might be an insecurity.
Yeah.
And so you're not really hitting the heart of the matter if you're not dealing with the thoughts and the words.
Okay,
And
so
you
this
have
is the thing. This is the thing. I have a question. So because a lot of times in situations where even in situations where me and Liz have had discussions and arguments, it's been like she's a girl and she has it's a lot more feelings and emotional based. And I think that's God given. And then for me, I also have feelings and emotions, but it's a lot of like, I'm trying my best to think about it in a logical way. And I think she does too, but I think it's more naturally inclined for a woman to
Be more empathetic.
be more feeling oriented,
feeling
even
driven,
seeing
yeah.
other people's
Yeah, yeah,
feelings
yeah.
better.
They're way better at
They're
it.
way better at those type of things. In those ways, what's a proper way to, because so this phrase is used in culture, I think, is differently than how to properly go
You're
about
not
it.
validating
In
anything.
relating to a woman, what is a proper way to relate to a woman's feelings or cater to them in a proper way without
bending.
bending to them, or even inclining them to live in a way that is feeling based, that is 100% their life is headed.
I think acknowledging them, number one.
Okay.
Number two is asking the question, why do you feel like that?
Okay.
Because then
Then you get to the root.
you get to the root issues.
Mhm.
And so if you simply only focus on the feelings, or validate it, and then you only are thinking about the feelings without actually dealing with the root issues,
Just be a rabbit trail.
then you are stuck. You are not going anywhere. This discussion, this issue is not going to be resolved because you're not dealing with the right stuff.
Yeah.
So acknowledge, ask the question, get to the root cause as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So don't minimize it.
Yeah.
Don't push it away. Actually bring it to the table.
Yeah.
And then deal with the thoughts, deal with what is really going on, because maybe it's an expectation that is unmet or not even spoken about.
Yeah.
And that's why she feels the way she feels, because in her mind, she thinks this is what I expected of you, and you're not even meeting up with it.
Yeah.
So like I heard this funny thing the other day. It was really funny. I saw it on social media where it was a girl who's asking someone, a really famous guy and he's saying, I really love my husband. He's a great husband, but he doesn't, it's not his ideas for us to go on a date. He never takes me on a date. So I always have to tell him, let's go on a date. Let's do this. Let's value this. And then she says, she ends up with like, do you think that's fair? And the guy says, no, that's fair that you feel like that, but you married a man. So you have to tell him how you feel, not just think about how you feel. Because, a lot of guys, you just have to tell them like, hey, I'd like to
Because
be.
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
We're
He
not
doesn't-
mind reader.
Yeah.
And your words don't necessarily mean that. Like, how you doing? How you doing, girl?
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Well, you are fine. Fine doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
You're messed up if you think that that's what she means. So you got to really find out what she's really saying, when you're really asking the question. So
Then he
validating
doesn't hear 100% of what you
That
didn't
too.
say at
That
all.
too.
So
No, honestly, like I even know, like just like what you're saying, like Hannah will be like, "Oh, can you like remember to do this?" Or like, "Hey, if you see something like this on the stairs, you're like in my brain." I don't know if it's just like I'm just more logical. I'm always thinking and stuff. I'll literally walk by like a coat on the ground for
Didn't
like
see it.
2-3 days, and I literally did not see it with my eyes, like not even thought about it. But then Hannah will be like, "How did you literally not see that coat
You
there?
walked by it.
You walked over it. You can't step over that coat."
You
It's like,
but you walked.
it's like, no, I literally did not see it. Like my brain was not there, and she never understands it.
You should validate my feelings too.
yeah, there's times where I've definitely heard it stuff in like hints, and I have like no idea it's a hint. It's like, hey, we should like go to this coffee shop and like read the Bible or something. I'm like, oh yeah,
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's good. We'll go, and then we'll go. But then it's what it's really asking is after this day, I need you to wash me in the water of your word, over and over. And I don't know. That's how heavy this. Hey, can we go get coffee and like read the Bible? Actually means, which I'm like, I could wash your wife in the water of your word. But like, I didn't know if that phrase was to that level. You know what I mean?
Like her expectations are different.
Because their expectations in the phrase was not the same thing.
I think most fights
Our expectations.
are expectations unmet and unspoken. So
guys and girls have both problems with
yeah, we all have
Yeah,
expectations
they're
that
different.
that are
Yeah.
thought, and we expect her to do something, but we never said it.
Merry Christmas. Like and subscribe. Feel free to share this with other guy friends if this was helpful to you guys. Stay tuned for our weekly episodes. We're going to be doing more topics like this every single week, and hope you guys have a good Christmas. See you later.